Hey guys, it's Tommy here. Today we are going to be watching world records that went horribly wrong. So, what we're going to do is probably this one. Sorry they're laughing. This phone is stuck. Yeah, they found it. Okay.
10 world record attempts that ended in death. Number 10. Zipline Terror. Indian stuntman Shailendra Nath Roy held two of the most bizarre world records, both of which were hair-related. In 2011, he travelled 82.5 metres on a zip wire, attached only by his hair. The following year, he pulled a locomotive with his ponytail for a record 2.5 metres. Not satisfied with his unconventional achievements, Roy wanted to better his zipline record. In August 2013, 91 metres into his stunt, Roy's hair got stuck on the line. It took 45 minutes before rescuers were able to retrieve him, by which time he was already dead. An autopsy revealed that he had suffered a trauma-induced heart attack. Number 9. Free falling. During the Cold War, American Nick Piantanida was determined to outdo Russian cosmonauts, who had set a world record for the longest freefall jump at 24,500 meters. In May 1966, Piantanida ascended to over 36,000 meters and began his jump. Disastrously, after 17,000 meters, his specialized suit depressurized. Immediately realizing the danger he was in, the US control room remotely released his parachute early. By the time Piantanida reached the Earth, a lack of oxygen had left him permanently brain damaged, and he slipped into a coma. He died 4 months later. Number 8. The fastest human in history. Originally a mine engineer, Lowell Bales soared to fame in the late 1920s as a stunt pilot, performing all around the US. At the 1931 National Air Races, Bales attempted to break the official 3 kilometers world land plane speed record. Almost reaching speeds of 482 kilometers an hour, Bales was on the verge of success when disaster struck. The plane's fuel cap came loose, flew through the windshield and knocked the pilot out. The plane crashed in a huge ball of fire, throwing Bales' body almost 100 meters from the cockpit. Number 7. Water speed record. By 1964, Englishman Donald Campbell had become the only person ever to hold both the land and water speed records, but he still wasn't satisfied. In 1967, he tried to break his own water speed record. As his jet-powered boat reached a record-smashing 480 kilometers per hour, things suddenly went very wrong. The boat momentarily lifted into the air, then Campbell was slammed back into the water with tremendous force. He died immediately, but his body wasn't found until 34 years later. Many people have hypothesized that the crash was entirely avoidable and was the result of the boat being too light due to a lack of fuel. Number 6. Buried alive. Despite there not being an official world record for the longest time spent buried alive, 24-year-old Sri Lankan magician Janaka Basnayaka wanted to set one. In 2012, he had some of his friends bury him in a 3-meter deep pit. After being buried alive for 7.5 hours, Basnayaka was dug back up. To the horror of his friends, the ground had suffocated him and he was no longer breathing. CPR was attempted at the scene and he was taken to hospital, but he was sadly pronounced dead just a few hours later. Number 5. Largest group skydive. In 2014, in a bid to overtake the previous record of 110 people, 222 ascended to 6,000 meters to take part in the world's largest formation skydive. Tragedy occurred, however, when the parachute of 46-year-old Diana Paris failed to open, and she was too close to the ground for the backup parachute to work. Paris was a very experienced skydiver, with 1,500 dives under her belt. Despite the efforts of emergency services, she was declared dead at the scene. Number 4. Balloon Fest. In what was supposed to be a spectacular publicity stunt, a world record-breaking 1.4 million helium balloons were released into the skies of Cleveland, Ohio. Intended to be a thing of beauty, the 1986 event ended up having disastrous consequences, causing millions of dollars of damage. Most tragically, emergency helicopters were unable to travel through the balloon-filled sky to come to the aid of 2 fishermen, who drowned after their boat capsized. What's more, rescuers struggled to locate the men, as it was difficult to differentiate between the balloons bobbing in the water and a human head. Number 3. Deep-sea diving. The world record depth that a diver has swum to without fins or breathing equipment is now a whopping 124 meters. In 2013, 32-year-old Nicholas Mavoli attempted to become the first American to surpass the 100-meter mark. Spectators waited with trepidation as Mavoli remained underwater for 3 minutes and 38 seconds. He had only reached a depth of 74 meters. Though he initially seemed fine upon returning to the surface, the diver fainted soon after. CPR was administered for 90 minutes, but Mavoli was declared dead at the scene. Number 2. Around the world in 30 days. In 2014, father and...
No. So, if you don't know, if you were in my class last year, I did a book called Around the World in 80 Days. So, yeah, this is called Around the World in 130 Days.
Son duo Baba and Harris Suleiman attempted to break the world record for flying around the Earth in a single-engine airplane. Admirably, their flight was intended to raise money for Pakistani children in need of education. They planned to land for fuel just 25 times over the course of the 43,000-kilometer journey, which they hoped to undertake in just 30 days. Tragically, disaster struck, and the 17-year-old pilot lost control over the Pacific Ocean. The resulting crash killed both men, and the body of Baba, Harris's father, was never recovered. Number 1. Motorcycle jump. In 2005, 44-year-old Javad Palizbanian from Iran tried to break the world record for jumping over the greatest number of buses. In 1975, Evel Knievel had jumped 40 meters over 14 buses, and in 1999, Bubba Blackwell surpassed that record, clearing 15 buses. Palizbanian's attempt was much more ambitious, as he aimed to jump 22 buses, the equivalent of about 63 meters. Tragically, the stuntman crashed into the 13th bus, dying instantly on impact.
Hi guys, we're here to tell you about our brand new channel. Yes, it's Dave versus John, the home of Factables. Tell them what they can see on this week's episode, John.
Well, this week we've got a kid with an atom bomb.
We have the world's most luckiest titty and the real life Planet of the Apes. Yes, it's playing on screen now. There's a link here and there's a link to the channel here. So click the links, come over and subscribe to our brand new channel. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.
And don't forget to rate Team John. See you next time.
See you next time.
Let's see, is it?
10 parents who took punishments way too far. 10. Facebook Live boxing match. As punishment for bunking off school, Tavis Sellers challenged his 17-year-old son to fight against him in a Facebook Live video shot in the family's living room. Throughout the video, uploaded in May 2016, Tavis mocks his son and throws some very hard punches, while the boy attempts to cover his face with his boxing gloves. Following the violent bout, the clip shows Tavis's son sobbing, with his shirt covered in blood as he holds a tissue to his nose. The graphic 5-minute video was watched by more than 1.5 million people and gained thousands of comments from people criticizing Tavis's discipline technique. As a result of the online outrage, Tavis turned himself in to the police after viewers called for his arrest. The man has since been released on a $5,000 bond, but his son has been removed from the house by social workers as the investigation continues. 9. Diaper cruelty. Stephanie Ann Broughton and her boyfriend Darnell Landrum were arrested in 2012 for forcing a cruel punishment on Stephanie's 12-year-old daughter when she didn't get good grades at school. The pair shaved the girl's head and made her go outside their home to pick up garbage wearing just a diaper and a t-shirt. Concerned neighbors called the police after seeing the distressed girl outside. When police arrived, a crowd of about 50 people was watching Stephanie's daughter, who by this time was hysterical and begging to be allowed back into the house. The girl, along with Stephanie's 3 other children, was placed into foster care shortly after the ordeal. Additionally, Stephanie and Darnell were found guilty of malicious punishment of a child and sentenced to 90 days in jail each.
It should be more
8.
than 90 days
Left in the woods.
jail.
In 2016, Takayuki Tanuka and his wife left their 7-year-old son Yamato in a bear-infested forest in Japan as punishment for throwing stones at cars. When the parents returned minutes later to the spot they'd left their son, he was gone. Fearing for his safety, they called the police, and a huge search effort involving more than 150 people tried to find him. 6 days after his disappearance, Yamato was located in a little-used military camp 6 kilometers from where his parents had abandoned him. He survived by drinking water from a tap located outside the building he was sleeping in. However, having had no access to food, he was malnourished when he was found and immediately rushed to hospital. Despite outrage from many families in Japan regarding the punishment,
means? Hold on.
However, having had no access to
you know what that word right there, the malnourished, if you know what that means, please leave it in the comment section below, because I have no idea what it means.
He was malnourished when he was found and immediately rushed to hospital. Despite outrage from many families in Japan regarding the punishment, police said the couple responsible would not face charges. 7. Locked in a cage. A couple from California were arrested in July 2014 for keeping their 11-year-old autistic child in an animal cage for over 12 hours at a time for misbehaving. Authorities claimed the cage was the size of an extra-large dog kennel and had a mattress inside it. Following an anonymous tip, police visited the home of Loi Vu and Tracy Lane and arrested them. The boy and his 2 siblings were taken from the house and placed in protective custody. The pair are still awaiting trial but could face prison sentences for false imprisonment and endangering the welfare of children. 6. Hot sauce. In 2011, Jessica Beagley was charged with child abuse after her bizarre disciplinary techniques were televised on a special episode of Dr. Phil called Mummy Confessions. Beagley forced her 7-year-old adopted son to drink hot sauce and stand in an ice-cold shower while she aggressively shouted at him. The upsetting ordeal was filmed by her 10-year-old daughter, purely because Beagley wanted to go on the Dr. Phil TV show. During the segment, the host, Phil McGraw, told Beagley that her actions were totally outrageous and abusive. Following her appearance, she was arrested by police for child abuse charges, and in August 2011 she was sentenced to 3 years of probation, a 180-day suspended jail term, and a $2,500 suspended fine. 5. Medieval duel. Fremont and Julie Say were arrested in 2011 after forcing their 16-year-old daughter to compete in a bizarre medieval duel as punishment for going to a party without their permission. Police stated that Fremont made the girl fight him with a wooden sword and shield for 2 hours, at which point she collapsed with exhaustion. Afterwards, she was taken inside and allegedly told to strip down to her underwear, revealing several bruises, and made to watch a televised sermon from a preacher. Fremont Say, who is believed to be a live-action role-playing enthusiast, was charged with second-degree assault with a weapon. His wife was charged with being an accessory to a crime. 4. Storage box. In 2013, Samantha and James Taylor pleaded guilty to stuffing their 3 children into plastic boxes and forcing them to stand on pins as punishment for misbehaving. The Taylors put each of their 3 children, aged 5, 6, and 8, in the storage boxes for 15 to 30 minutes at a time, with only a small hole cut out of the lid to breathe through. On occasion, they would even pour water down the hole to taunt the kids. Alongside this, the children were forced to hold weights and stand on their toes. Pins were placed under their heels, so when they became tired, these would pierce through their soles. Following a plea deal, where both parents admitted to 2 counts of child endangerment and 1 count of unlawful restraint, James Taylor served 1 year in jail. Samantha Taylor got away with just 2 years of probation. The children were removed from the home and now live with other relatives. 3. Iron Face. A Houston mother named Hope.
Guys, can you leave, please? I'm doing a YouTube video here. You guys are like talking right in front of me.
Who was accused in 2011 of causing grievous bodily harm to her 10-year-old daughter's face as punishment for disobeying her. According to a court report, Hope was ironing clothes at home when she burned the left side of her daughter's face twice with the iron as she wasn't reading a book correctly. The next day, a school nurse inquired about her face injury, and the victim said she was hit by a hot skillet at home. The school then reported the incident to police.
Alright guys, this is gonna be it. I hope you guys have a great day. Please do subscribe and like down below. And I will see you guys tomorrow at school if you're my friends, or I'll see you guys in the next video.